Michael Winger and Will Dawkins give us three main reasons why we should be optimistic for the future in DC. Let's talk about it next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again, and I appreciate you making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 and bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So, everybody, I'm going to give you my reactions and the three main reasons why you should be optimistic for the future in the district for the Washington Wizards. This is kind of my reaction to the exit interview for Michael Winger, or president of basketball operations Michael Winger, and general manager Will Dawkins. I was going to put this out last night, everybody, but I mean, I took a couple trips to the district, man. I said, and kind of tired from traveling, and my wife was not feeling well last night, so I kind of had to take care of the wife, man. So, but I couldn't wait to get this out to you guys and chat it up with you guys. So, like I said, after my reactions to the exit interview, these are my three main reasons why you guys should be very, very optimistic for the future for the Washington Wizards. So, like I said, I was there not only on Monday for the players' exit interviews, and of course, I already pushed that content out. And if you follow me on Twitter, you see that I always put out news anytime I talk to the team or players. So definitely tune on my Twitter page, which is at Brandon_7 Scott. So let's get into it. So my three main reasons, we'll start with number one, everybody. Number one on my list on the reasons why Michael Winger and Will Dawkins kind of make it very interesting and make me optimistic for the future. Number one, let's get into it. Accountability and setting a standard. You heard a lot of this from the players from the exit interviews, but you heard this several times from both Michael Winger and Will Dawkins. Accountability and setting the standard. You heard the word culture. I ain't gonna say it too much. I know you guys have heard culture all year long, but big words when you look at it. Accountability. They said a lot about accountability. You know, holding people and standard. You know, setting a standard, holding people to a standard. And they when they looked at it, they said from the front office, from the coaching standpoint, and from the players, accountability, and setting a standard. And I think this is really, really big for us because, like I said, I get it, you guys. We're just completing year one of a rebuild. Rebuilds aren't fun. We're going to lose a lot of games. You can't really measure them by wins or losses. It's more about development of key players, especially young players. And I get it. It's hard to watch your team get blown out. And one of the biggest things that I got from the players from the exit interviews, and really both Will Dawkins and Michael Winger both put out statements where they acknowledged that, one, they didn't expect to lose as many games as they did. There was definitely a lot of adjustments, especially, Whistle Sell Jr. with him being promoted, with interim head coach Brian Keefe coming in, a lot of adjustment periods this season. But, you heard this several times, this team wasn't expected to lose as many games as it did. But I think a lot of factors had to do with that. Number one, if you look at West SL Jr., rebounding and defense were an issue, not only this year, but previous years. So that was one thing, lack of adjustments, waving the white flag in the fourth quarter, the team not really playing to win, quitting in the fourth quarter. That led to a lot of frustration. And I get that, especially from the front office perspective, from a fan perspective, from a player perspective. But interim head coach Brian Keefe really brought a renewed energy to this team. Rebounding numbers went way up, and you can't really attribute it all the way to Brian Keefe. Obviously, if you look at trades from general manager Will Dawkins, the Marvin Bagley trade was a good move. Rashawn Holmes, getting the first pick from Dallas was a big move, in my opinion. But also, getting Rashawn Holmes, I didn't know what to expect from Rashawn Holmes. It was later in his career, but he's provided great points in the paint, great defense, great leadership, there's moments of being a dog, getting there and getting rebounds, being, having his presence felt in the paint. And I felt he came in and he played a really good role. It's going to be interesting going forward, but that's another video for us. So accountability, setting a standard, I think are really, really key. Establishing the culture are really, really key. And I know you guys are getting sick and tired of it, and we're going to start talking about it. But, I can't stress enough, guys, why accountability, why setting a standard, why establishing culture is important, especially year one in the rebuild, because setting a standard should be the first thing you do. You know, whether you be in the military or any kind of job or, sports, most jobs, even in sports, there's a lot of pride in a standard, setting a standard, living by a standard, having an expectation put upon you how you're supposed to play or live or, whatever context you're using in. And with with any organization in sports, there should be a standard. I mentioned it before, I took a trip a couple of weeks ago going to Pittsburgh, and I took a tour of Heinz Field, and anybody knows the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, which I'm a big fan of. I know I'm a Commanders fan, but big fan of the head coach. But the biggest thing that you see right before you get in the locker room is the standard is the standard. That is the type of mind frame that we need in DC and that they are establishing as we speak. This front office, the coaching staff, and even the players, believe it or not, I get it's a long season, but they are on the same shade of music. And, I get it. It's hard to believe, especially when you have, the worst season in NBA, NBA history, Lord have mercy, but in Washington Wizards history, optimism is, you don't see what happens behind the scenes. And that's why I'm very excited to have media credentials and be able to have that inside access to you guys, man, because there's a lot that does happen behind the scenes that I'm going to bring up. But, they are on the same sheet of music. I will say that, just from my reactions from the exit interviews from the players and president of basketball operations, Michael Winger, and general manager Will Dawkins, that they are on the same sheet of music. There is a process. There is a blueprint. So, I think that's very important that when they said that, it really, really rang true to me, because setting a standard should be numero uno. First thing you do, establishing the culture, holding players and coaches accountable. That is key. You have to hold people accountable, which accountability was an issue years past. There was no accountability in the GM's office under Ernie Grunfeld, Tommy Shepard. There's no accountability. And now you see accountability from ownership, because now they finally put together a front office where accountability is part of the DNA, where before accountability wasn't even a thing in DC. It was run rampant. Now you have a standard and they're holding people accountable. So, when they said that, that really, really rung true to me, because like I said, those three things, as far as this first point, are very important. I can't stress it enough, that establishing a culture, building a system of accountability where people hold each other accountable, people watch over each other. And I can't, again, definitely music to my ears, and setting a standard, definitely setting a standard that, look, the MO going forward, as far as the standard of how the Wizards should play going forward, which is playing hard, playing to win, playing together, playing as a one cohesive unit. And I think that should make you guys very, very, very excited, because again, if you look at past teams, past regimes, as far as the GM office, there really wasn't really a strategy. You know what I mean? There wasn't a standard. There wasn't accountability. It was just, especially if you look at the previous one under Tommy Shepard, when the question came around with what is the problem, there was fingers being pointed. It was this, it was that, it was that. It was coaching, it was moves in the front office, it was players. You don't have that now. People are going to hold each other accountable. That everybody knows their job. Do your job. We hold each other accountable. We're one part of a cohesive unit. And like I said, that really rang true to me, you guys, because like I said, it's very important in year one of a rebuild that you have those components, man. I can't stress enough. So definitely music to my ears. So like I said, you guys definitely comment below. Let me know what you guys think about all my points. Are they important to you? Do you think they're central to a rebuild? Are they music to your ears? Do they make you excited? So definitely let me know what you guys think. So before we move on to the next point, tonight's episode is brought to you by Yahoo Finance. So wouldn't it be great if you could see all of your investments in retirement accounts in one place? With Yahoo Finance, you can consolidate your views from multiple accounts into one hub and access the expert analysis that you need to tend your entire portfolio with confidence. Because for more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for the extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. They are the number one finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analysis ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. Securely link your brokerage accounts for one unified view for your wealth, including a 401k and other investments. A comprehensive and perspective is what sets apart great investors, and it's how Yahoo Finance ensures you have the right insight to look at your wealth in its entirety. With a community of over 90 million users each month, there's real strength is helping you guys on your way to financial success. So for comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, YahooFinance.com, the number one financial destination, YahooFinance.com. And again, that is YahooFinance.com. Tonight's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Now, it's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. You know, the Washington Caps are in the NHL playoffs, just saying. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose, y'all. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all in one app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for, y'all? Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long, having to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for your everyday to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming, y'all. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day, baby. So let's get into the second point why you guys should be optimistic for the future, because I am. Let's get into number 2. Scouting and development was mentioned numerous times. Like I said, I wasn't able. There was a lot of networks in there. Like I said, with the players, I was able to get in there and get some good questions in. But with Michael Winger and Will Dawkins, very short on time, and a lot of networks in there. Obviously, you know, the athletic monument of sports. So I'm still making my way. So, you know, kind of, you know, let them do their thing. But I was able to kind of grab Michael Winger on the side and have a real nice conversation with him, and not only with him, but with Craig Hoffman. Definitely shout out to my man, Craig Hoffman, who covers a lot of Commanders and Wizards news. So if you don't subscribe to Craig Hoffman on YouTube, definitely consider that. But a really good conversation and really centered around the draft. But one thing that I heard a lot from not only Michael Winger and Will Dawkins, but also, you know, to a certain degree, the players, is scouting and development, how coming into their positions with the Washington Wizards, they had to revamp the whole scouting department. And they really had to put a lot of not only good people in place, but really good work habits in place to really revitalize the scouting department. And the biggest thing is this, and you're going to be excited about the third point, because this point really leads into the third point as far as going down the road to contention and really getting his team back into being a contending team, which has been a long time, guys, which scouting development is, that's, you know, really important piece to the next point. Because right now, early on in the rebuild, hitting in the draft is important. And, you know, I said this in the last couple of videos, man, that, you know, I know you guys get on me about saying culture all the time, you know, how important culture is, how important accountability and standard is. And I get it. Tired of hearing me say that. I'm going to slow it down a little bit, but, you know, I can't stress enough that, because there's 2 reasons. Number one, it's important in the beginning. You know, without that foundation of those 3 important components, you don't succeed. You know, you got to have a foundation before you make that next move. You know what I mean? You know, Lao Tzu, right, once said that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. To me, that's a single step. Next on the journey is scouting and development, hitting through the draft. Ernie Grunfeld, legendary for 1, not hitting through the draft and so many misses, and 2, spending first-round picks on players that he didn't resign. Looking at Bogdanovich from Brooklyn that year, you know, he didn't even resign Bogdanovich, and he ends up with the Indiana Pacers. So you just gave away the future for a half a season. So those are issues we've had in the past. I'm not going to get on Tommy too much about his drafting, because as we know, his draft picks are starting to come to fruition outside of Johnny Davis. But Ernie Grunfeld was notoriously known for hitting or missing in the draft. You know, you go, I mean, so many misses. I mean, there's so many examples. I mean, you can go back to, you know, us trading, I believe, the 5th overall pick for Randy Foye and Mike Miller. That was a massive mistake, because we had an opportunity to go get Stephen Curry. We are, you know, a couple drafts after that, we were in a position to get Klay Thompson. Matter of fact, there was a report not too long ago that said that John Wall advocated heavily for us to draft Klay Thompson, because he saw the 3-and-D potential. And could y'all imagine Klay Thompson, Bradley Beal, and John Wall developing and becoming a big 3 in DC? Man, that would have been nice. So, you know, we definitely have to hit through the draft. And like I said, if you look at this previous draft, you know, I know a lot of people were looking at, you know, Cam Whitmore, and, you know, it goes back to contributing right away and developing. Now, could we have used the guy to come in and contribute right away in Cam Whitmore? Absolutely. I'm not going to say we couldn't, because we definitely could. He's a talent. He's a local talent. I mean, he's definitely pro ready. But you can't say enough about Bilal Coulibaly, man. You know, you definitely see the potential. And I get it, you know, the draft pick makes sense now because if you look at the fact that, you know, the long road of development, you know, you want to develop Bilal right. You know what I mean? And that's the key, developing him right. Defensively, he's solid. Offensively, he's got a little ways to go. But if you guys see the potential, he's going to be something, man. He's going to be a star, in my opinion. You know, development takes time. You know, Denny is still not a finished product, but you see how now offensively he's a threat. Where defensively, you know, he's always been a dog defensively, but now you see how he can be a threat on the offensive side. So, you know, Corey Kispert took development. You know, Johnny Davis is going to take development. You know, if they choose to retain him and try to develop him further, you know, I think he can be a serviceable NBA player in the future. I really do. I don't think, you know, a lot of people throw bust. I'm not exactly going to call him a bust. I mean, you can. I'm not going to take that, you know, hold that against y'all if you decide to call him a bust. But I think that a missed pick. You know, he can be serviceable. He just was not a 10th overall pick type talent. And I think we all can agree with that. So, I mean, looking at the draft coming up, you know, they got 2 first-round picks and a second-rounder. And they mentioned this too also, y'all, which is you very well, and this was kind of what Michael Winger said to me on the side, which is you very well could see them move back into the lottery. You know, there's a lot of capabilities with that. I got to take a look at the standings, but I believe it was a 26 pick, the Clippers pick. You know, they very well could use that to get back into the lottery because, you know, that was the biggest thing that I asked Michael Winger on the side. I said, look, you know, a lot of draft experts are saying this is a weak draft. I personally look at it as a developmental draft, you know, and so I asked him, I said, how excited are you guys to be able to pick 3 guys and be able to properly develop them, take your time and develop them and not feel compelled to throw them into the fire because you have a core already. You got Denny, you got Corey Kispert, you got Bilal, you know, you got Kyle Kuzma being a vet on the starting 5. So you don't necessarily have to throw these guys into the fire. We could develop them, right? And he said that, look, they're very excited. You know, and he agreed that, you know, while, yeah, there's a lot of people that do call it a weak draft. I mean, there's always, you know, finding the jewel in the rough, you know, is definitely the key. You know, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the draft he was in, I mean, he wasn't the star of the draft. But ultimately, in hindsight, if you redrafted it, obviously he's the number 1 pick. So every draft is going to have those guys where, you know, the draft experts don't see them as being who they are, you know, and look, you guys forget that Giannis had to be developed. So, you know, looking at Bilal with his intangibles, who knows, he's still growing. So scouting and development is very, very important in the vision that his front office has. And that, you know, look, I know there's music to my ears. I know there's music to your ears because look, hitting in the draft has to be key. It has to be key, man, for us to be, you know, start down the road back to contention. Because as we all know, man, we have not won a title since the 70s. You know, we're definitely due to have some contention in DC. And I think a lot of us want to see that, man. You know, we kind of got teased by the, you know, Gilbert Arenas era, you know, only one time in the second round. Definitely got teased by the John Wall era. You know, I believe it was one time in the second round. Or really, no, the year against Boston, we were in the semis. But, you know, we only made it to a certain point. You know, we definitely want championship basketball here in DC. And I believe it definitely starts with what? A foundation of culture, right? Accountability. Second, hitting through the draft. You know, definitely not only one, you know, finding the right talent through the draft, but 2, finding those diamonds in the rough. You know, those type of talent, like the GG Jacksons. You know, definitely the scouting is important. Finding those guys where they're often overlooked by other organizations, you know. So definitely hitting through the draft leads to my next point. But before I get to my next point, tonight's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. So when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Because look, LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those that aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites because, look, if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. I'm trying to tell you guys, man. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. And like I said, I can't recommend LinkedIn enough. Like I said, get out the military. In 2011, you know, the military, you know, as much as I love being in, doesn't prepare you for the life after. I worked for the state as a correctional officer at one point. You know, I held many jobs, and a lot of jobs I got through LinkedIn, man, because it is definitely, the leading site for professionals. So I can't recommend it enough. So all you have to do, guys, is post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So let's get into the second point, or the third point, my bad. The last point, that is. So let's get into it. The third point, and I know this is something that we've talked about, especially me and Ed, man, for the last couple of years. Probably going to talk about it this year, which is the attraction of free agents. This comes from the president of basketball operations, Michael Winger, and general manager Will Dawkins. And they said this. They said, look, the word is getting out. There are players, veterans in this team, especially, Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Poole, who are, here's the thing. The NBA is a small community. It's not just you're on your team and people talk. People talk amongst the whole NBA. Is a global community, is a whole network. You know what I mean? Where pretty much they're all connected in the NBA. People talk. People are talking right now, guys. People are talking right now. They're talking about what they're trying to do in DC. They're trying to do this right. And they're really trying to build this into an organization that is not only run right, but is running smoothly. You know what I mean? And they're putting all the right pieces in place. And like I said, the previous points point to that. I mean, the fact that they have established a culture where, the players not only feel comfortable, not only feel transparent with the coaching staff and the front office, people are holding each other accountable, and they're playing, they're living by a standard. Because the biggest thing that I saw for them also, which is, they're looking at guys not only for the on-court production, but being a professional off the court. That's key with both Michael Winger and Will Dawkins. Professional on and off the court. And really, if you look at another fact that really is really attracting people right now is the scouting and development. Knowing that they're finding young talent in the draft. And I kind of said something about Bilal before, but Tristan Vucevic, hitting on a second round pick was key this previous draft, because we don't even know where the last couple of second round draft picks are. They very well could be in DC, and haven't sent none of nobody. We don't even know where Zoso is, man. So, the fact that we not only got our second round pick into the States in a uniform on the court, he produced offensively at a high level. At a high level, when pertaining to Vucevic, he came in more polished, than I thought he was going to be. Very, very polished. He came in right away, put in work. Now, defensively, I see him as a rim protector, yes. But the biggest thing I saw, from my perspective, being a games man, which is his lateral movement on defense needs a lot of work. And the teams were attacking that because he has worked in that area, but very intriguing young prospect, man. So, again, it goes back to scouting and development. So my third point, attracting free agents. When they said that, look, it's getting out. There's a lot of buzz in Washington. There really is a lot of buzz in Washington. So they're trying to build a culture and build an organization. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop saying culture, y'all. They're trying to build an organization that attracts free agents, right? Because that's been the biggest issue in DC. We've never been a destination to attract free agents, and if we do, they're later in their career. Looking at Paul Pierce. So we want to be a destination for free agents to come to. Because, like I said, we have vets on the team who have linked to other guys. Look, Kyle Kuzma won a championship with the Lakers, so he's got a relationship, with the Lakers. And the same thing with Jordan Poole. And like I said, the NBA is one community. Everybody talks. So right now, the Wizards are buzzing. I'm trying to tell you guys. And like I said, that is definitely a really, really good thing for us as a fan base, because we want to see there's a light in the tunnel, which is, and the real plan is in the rebuild, which is what? Establishing the standard. Boom. Hitting in the draft. Boom. And then when the guys that you hit in the draft on develop and they're ready to take that next step, that's when you make that trade. Boom. Like a Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland. That's when you make that trade. That's when you make that free agent acquisition. That's when you add that final piece. And then you make that run for a championship run. So that, if you look at Golden State, perfect example, right? They drafted Klay. They drafted Steph. They drafted Draymond. Okay. They drafted James Wiseman. I'm pretty sure they regret that. But they drafted their core, which became a dynasty. And when it came time to contending, they made the Iguodala move, which was a very important move, in my opinion. They made that Wiggins move. They made that move that, pushed them over the top. So that's the vision for here in DC. That is definitely the vision here in DC. And like I said, going back to the 3 points, man, which I think are very, very, very vital. And this is definitely the blueprint, in my opinion, of how president of basketball operations, Michael Winger, and general manager Will Dawkins is going to build his team, which is establishing culture, accountability, and setting a standard for players to live and play by, right? Scouting and development and attracting free agents. I think that if they roll by that blueprint, I think, look, we are headed down the road to contention because this front office, they believe what they're doing. They believe in his fan base. They really do. You know, the fan base was the first thing that he thanked in his opening comments. This front office believes, they know the pulse in DC. They know that we want a winner. They know that we want a consistent winner. That's the biggest thing. And that's another thing I really got out of talking to Michael Winger and Will Dawkins and being there for their exit interviews, which is they're not just trying to build a winner. They're trying to build a sustainable winner, which should be music to your ears, right? They're trying to build a product that is going to be good for years after year after year. Not a team that's going to be good for 2 to 3 years and then you rebuild again. Nah, because we saw that already. We saw that with the Gilbert Arenas era. We saw that with the John Wall era. We didn't really see too much of playoff success with the Bradley Beal era, but, you know, they're trying to build a product, an organization that's sustainable for years, if not a decade plus. And I think that's very important because we don't want a 2 to 3 year success period, right? We want a team that's going to be a dynasty, a team that's going to be a really good team, a contending team for a decade plus. And I think that this fan base definitely deserves that. And I think we're ready for that. But you guys, look, this comes down to my final point before I roll out, man, which is, look, keep the faith. There's light at the end of the tunnel. This front office believes in what they're doing. I believe in what they're doing, man. I really do. I have a high level of confidence in this front office. They're going to do their thing. Just give them some time. Head coach was brought up. Like I said, we kind of talked about it in my previous video about the exit interviews with the players. And their biggest thing with the head coach, to kind of let you guys know, is they feel the pulse with the team as far as the players and the fan base, as far as those of you who like Brian Keefe, they feel that. Brian Keefe is definitely in consideration, but they're going to do their due diligence. I mean, they pretty much, this is verbatim from them. They said they're going to go through the phone book and they're going to look at every candidate they can. They're going to do their due diligence. So, look, this front office, they're going to find the right coach, whether it's Brian Keefe or whether it's outside the organization, but they're going to find the right coach for this team. So, you know, these three main points are three big reasons why you guys should be optimistic for the future. Because, like I said, I left the practice facility very optimistic. I really did, because they're ready. They're ready to build this thing. It is going to take a little bit. Now, looking back at Denny's comments, I kind of agree with that, where it says it's not going to take as long as you guys think. But the key right now, where we're at now, is phase 2. We've already established that culture, man. We've already set up an atmosphere of accountability, right? Now, next on the agenda, look, we have 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick coming up in this next year, or this year's draft, man. Hitting through the draft and developing them right is key. And not only this draft, the draft after, and the draft after that, because really the 2024, the 2025, and 2026 drafts are very important. They're very important. We have to hit in these drafts if we want to develop. If we want to develop the talent that's going to be needed to set the foundation to make those major moves, to be contenders, to attract free agents. So we're in phase 2, in my opinion. So definitely keep the faith, guys. Like I said, I appreciate you guys rocking with me, man. I really wanted to get this out last night, man. But like, man, like I said, I like making these trips, getting this access for you guys, man, getting the important questions and answers to you guys, man. But man, that's a long drive. I live about an hour and 40 minutes away, man. So I was a little tired last night, man. So I hope you guys understand. And then my wife, man, she was dealing with stomach issues, man. So I definitely want to be there for my wife, man. So, man, it was like a last minute thing, but I'm definitely hyped to get on here and get you guys this information. So again, guys, keep the faith. The light is at the end of the tunnel, and I will see you guys tomorrow night, 7:00 on the dot. I ain't gonna be in my drop top, but I will be on Locked On Wizards with the live Q&A. So definitely rock with me tomorrow night, because we're gonna start off Friday right, man. So we're gonna hear shoot me your best questions. I'm gonna give you my best answers, and we're gonna chop it up like we always do. So Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So again, appreciate you guys, man. I will see you tomorrow night for the live Q&A. Hail to the Wizards and peace. You guys have a good night. See you next time.